Good evening, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday evening. My name is TaNisha Webb. I am the owner of Urban Chic Travelista and also a travel consultant or travel advisor, whichever. And I'm coming on tonight to talk about how to be culturally sensitive when traveling. One of the reasons why, and actually, I was one of the reasons why this conversation or this topic, uh, I wanted to talk about it is because it kind of came up in a Zoom that I was listening to the other night, and also because I'm getting ready to have my first group go over to Ghana next year as well. So it kind of fit all through there because I was listening to a few travel advisors um, talk about Cuba, visiting Cuba, and just being mindful about the differences that basically you would experience when you're over in Cuba. And so it really prompted me as far as um, talking about, and actually, let me make sure. I think you can hear me, but I want to make sure that you can. So let me plug in my earphones just to make sure. Okay. Hopefully you could hear me. You could hear me beforehand. But if you haven't, then let me just start all the way over just in case. My name is TaNisha Webb. I am the owner of Urban Chic Travelistas. I'm basically a travel consultant, and I own a boutique travel company. So tonight I want to talk about how to be culturally sensitive when traveling abroad. And like I said before, if you couldn't hear me uh, and everything before, uh, I was thinking about talking about this anyways, but it really prompted me to come on tonight because I was listening a few nights ago to a Zoom meeting with a couple of travel advisors, and they were talking about how to prepare groups basically to visit Cuba. And so, one of the topics that they were talking about was some of the cultural differences and just differences that you can experience there. That's just not quite the norm if you are American, basically. Um, That is true basically of any country that you go to that's outside of America. Um, that you're going to have some cultural differences that you should be very mindful of. And so that you're not offensive to the people that the country in the country that you're visiting. Definitely when I went to Paris specifically, they already have their thoughts about Americans, period. And they'll even tell you that, that they tend to think that Americans are rude, um, and everything, and that they feel like that they basically not not necessarily, they just have an arrogance about them is what I'm trying to say. And so and sometimes that actually is true. I think that we have a different standard as far as like hotels and things like that. And there's nothing wrong with having specific standards. However, you do need to be mindful about where you're visiting and understand that sometimes, depending on what those standards are, then that may not be what you're going to find. And so I think that you have to do your due diligence and actually make sure that you are in the right mindset, and also that you are informing yourself on what the expectations are when you are visiting in different countries. And like one prime example is sometimes when you go to different countries, the customer service is not as good, just isn't. So it's not what the standards that we would imagine necessarily in the U.S. And so it sometimes it's just a it's just a different it's just a different experience. And so you have to be mindful of that. Sometimes it's a language issue, so it's not necessarily that someone is thinking ill of you, or that they have an attitude towards you. Sometimes it actually just can be that they don't quite understand what you're talking about. And that doesn't, even if it's an English speaking country, because we have different words for things than they do. Sometimes it's just a miscommunication. So, for prime example, when I went to Ghana, I ordered cupcakes at a restaurant that I was eating at. I was like, oh, um, I saw cupcakes in their dessert counter and everything. So when she brought it to me, and I asked her to just put it in a bag, I didn't want to eat it there. I was going to take it back to the guest house. So when she brought it to me, first of all, one of them was warm, and like it felt like it just came out of the oven type of thing. And then the other, and they both, neither one of them had icing on them. And so I thought, well, maybe she brought muffins instead of cupcakes. Like, let me double check with her. And so when she came back to me, she was like, "No, those are cupcakes." I'm like, "Well, where's the icing at? Like who eats cupcakes without icing on them?" And so she was like, "No, you have to order that ahead." I'm like, "Order it ahead? Like what?" And so basically, when you order cupcakes, unless you have to ask for the icing, or you have to order them ahead and stuff. So I'm not sure if they're making the icing as they go along, or if she's talking about order them ahead as far as you like for a party or something like that, multiple cupcakes. So that was just a lesson learned. I didn't know, in Ghana, when you order cupcakes, then you're literally going to get a cupcake, like a cake in a cup type of, in a cupcake holder, but more than likely it's going to come without icing. It's things like that, or muffins there are called totally different words. It's kind of like rancia or something like that, something with an R. And so they're all different. Like when I'm sitting up here talking about muffins, they're talking about, this other thing, um, and everything. So it's just a difference, right? But those are the type of things that you have to understand, and it really can go deeper than that, and everything. So if you go back and listen to my video about preparing yourself to go to Ghana, you'll hear some of those differences there and things. But I will point, some other things out, because there's a lot of different things about Ghana that you have to prepare yourself for, because there's a lot of different cultural differences. Like they only, which is customary, but they only shake your right hand and everything, but they don't, and they only eat with their right hand. So everything is done with the right hand, right? As far as eating, writing, and things like that, it's all done with the right hand. However, your left hand is the only hand that you use to wipe your butt, and that's why they don't. do anything with that left hand and stuff other than that function, basically. And working, but they don't, it's very rare that they're eating anything that they would actually eat with their left hand. And they eat a lot of food, right, with their hand. And so everything is eaten with their right hand. So for them it's really weird, to have see someone that is eating or writing probably, with their left hand, period. And so because that is their custom, is to always eat with the right hand, you wipe with the left hand when you go to the bathroom. And so those type of things is something that would be important for you to know if you were going to Ghana. Now, I'm not sure if that is the custom in other African countries, but I do know for sure that that is the thing in Ghana. And so, and then most of their meals, not all, the a lot of their meals are eaten with their hand, right? So those are things that I had to learn. I had to learn, when you go to Ghana, that you don't flush the toilet paper. That is a thing in Ghana and stuff. And it has to do with the plumbing system because the plumbing system's not as good. If you go to Colombia and you are heading towards like the mud volcanoes and things, your tour guide may stop at a rest stop on the side of the road that doesn't have working uh, plumbing and everything, that you have to basically flush the toilet, and you get a small bucket of water to flush the toilet down, and then they'll give you that instruction if that's the case. It's certain things like that you have to be aware of, and that they don't have running water, so and how to wash your hands. So, so it's sort of that you be mindful of. Travel. Make sure that you educate yourself on the visiting. Make sure that you understand about, um, you really, really understand what you're going to encounter into a new country and its people. Find out about the social structure, their religious practices, and attitude towards foreign travelers. Those are all really important things that you need to know. You need to know how you're going to be treated, in different countries, but you also need to know how to treat others, right? And so that is really essential, so that you're not going to offend someone by, something that you may do that you may not know about. So, really reading up on where you're headed is a must, and it really will offer valuable insight into daily life there and give you an idea of what is expected as an outsider. So, like when you go to Ghana and stuff, you see people in African attire, but usually on Fridays you might see even more people because that's usually when they wear African attire, unless it's some type of festival or something like that. But they wear regular clothes just like everybody else. I mean, nobody's gonna say anything to you if you have on African attire and things like that, like on a Tuesday. But just know that that's what the norm is. Or when you go to Paris, nobody's going around with one of the oh shoot, what's the hats called, the little black hats and things like that you typically signify that you're in Paris. Nobody goes around with that except for tourists. I don't know why I can't think of the name of the cap right now, but y'all know what I'm talking about and stuff. So nobody goes around with those little hats on their heads except for not Parisians and stuff. That's a tourist thing. So um, also reflect on your own culture and behaviors. Um, you want to know how similar is the culture that you're coming from to that of the place that you're traveling to, right? And then how is it different? There's some cultural differences that may be religious based or it's just a cultural difference, right? So you need to actually, it's no different than when, you have people that come to our country that are not, they don't speak English or anything like that. So this could actually be your experience going to a different country, especially if you're going to a country that doesn't speak English or that just has like when you go to Dubai, or places like over in that area, those are heavily Muslim countries. So when you go to a predominantly Muslim country and things, they're going to have different cultural differences. And also, they're going to have different laws and just different customs. And so, those are some of the things that you have to be aware of so that you understand exactly what the expectations are um, to the country that you're visiting, right? So you can't go to different countries basically and force them to accept that you're an American and that's that, right? That's not the way it goes. So remember that you'll be presenting your home country while abroad, even on casual pleasure trips or just leisure trips. Know that you kind of represent us all, because I got tired of listening, in different places like, oh yeah, you're Americans, you're this, you're that, when like I'm just here trying to enjoy myself, So, but it's because they've had so many different experiences with other Americans that they may feel that way. So basically, don't make us look all look bad. Um, Definitely be mindful when traveling to places that that may have had a past conflict with where you're from, right? From the US and things like that. I always keep up on the political parts of the news when I'm preparing to travel. That's something that I do, just so I know what's happening around the world, right? So I understand exactly what I may have to deal with. Sometimes it's not really the people; it's more the government that's the issue. But when you get down to the local level, it may be a conversation, but most of the time it's not. So appreciate the differences. The culture that you'll be stepping into won't be the same as your own, and that's a good thing. we you should not have a mindset that you're going to travel because you want to experience the same thing that you could in America. That's not what travel is about. It's really about learning about yourself and different cultures, and then the people that are that make up that culture, right? And so you are trying to go out to the world so you can actually experience different things. So it's all about diversity, and it's about respecting the diversity, someone that's different from you. And so you really have to be mindful of that and make sure that you are not being offensive and you may feel uncomfortable, in different cultural settings, but that's a part of the experience of you actually visiting a different country, is so you understand the difference in the cultures. There's going to be sometimes that you don't like, some of the different cultures and things like that. And then sometimes it's not that you don't like it, it's just that it's different from what you're used to. So don't get the two confused. Sometimes just because things are different, it doesn't make it wrong. And it definitely doesn't make it, it just makes it different, right? So make sure that you let go of stereotypes and just generalization about the place you're visiting. I think that that is very offensive to people when you overgeneralize. So if you were going to Africa, then you shouldn't say, "Oh, wow, so you guys don't live in huts," or something stupid like that. Don't do that. That doesn't make sense. Oh, you're all not poor, or don't go to different countries and overgeneralize because you are ignorant to what actually the country is like, because your due diligence and making sure um, that you actually studied the country and figured out exactly what it stands for. Don't do that. um, Another example is like, using a squatting toilet, which you could find those in like Turkey, and there's some actually in Dubai as well. I won't say that all are like that, but you will find some, or being warned against sitting with your legs crossed in Turkey might catch you off guard. Um, but those are the things that you have to be mindful of, right? Of all these different things that we don't even think of here, that may be offensive somewhere else, as what we're talking about. You definitely want to do your best to try to blend in with those around you, right? And so you need to make sure that you are abiding by whatever that custom is in different countries. um, Make sure that you are really, your behavior is very modest, and then keeping in with that of your native counterparts. Make sure that you are not out there basically cutting up and acting a damn fool. Okay. Make sure that that you're really trying to learn what the environment's about, and make sure that you're making a good impression, right? And so people know that you are different. Even when I go to Ghana and things, they know I'm not Ghanaian, right? So um but I try to blend in with people. I try to learn as much as I can from people that I'm surrounding myself with. Even when I step into someone's house, one of my friends and stuff, and I clearly see that like all of them are taking their shoes off. I also ask, "Do you want me to take my shoes off?" Like, right? Because I'm not above anybody in their household, and I want to make sure that I'm being respectful of someone's household. So it's kind of the same thing when you go to someone's house and they don't allow shoes on their carpet or whatever else and stuff. I always ask, "Do you want me to take my shoes off?" So it's things like that. Um, Definitely know what the norms are when it comes to things like alcohol, tobacco use, photography, and other forms of expressions. Like when you go to different countries, like, smoking might be very taboo there. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anyone in Ghana smoke, ever. Not one time, Has I ever have I ever seen that? Because that is something that is very taboo for them, right? So they don't believe in smoking. I've just never seen it there. And that may be true for other countries. When you are like in, drinking alcohol when you're in Dubai and stuff, it's illegal for you to be drunk out on the streets and things. You may go to a establishment that do not sell alcohol at all. So and you can actually get arrested, like if you're on a flight to Dubai or somewhere over in that area if you get drunk on a plane. Um, and if you start getting belligerent and things like that, yeah, they're going to probably escort you off the plane and put you in jail. So those are the type of things that you want to know about, is this appropriate for me to drink alcohol and things like that in this country? So typically when I'm traveling, I don't drink alcohol at all. I don't care if it's something uh, that is acceptable or not. That's just my thing. But in some countries, that may be against the law, or for you to appear drunk in public. And like I said, a lot of countries that are majority are Muslim. I mean, they don't believe in that, right? So you need to make sure that you understand that and everything. And if that's something that you like to do, then that may not be the country for you to visit. Learn to speak the language. And so tomorrow you have to come back and we'll talk about different phrases that you should learn and stuff. Hi, Jason. Um, and so you really should learn at least some phrases to speak the language. Like I learn a little bit of Twi every time I go back to Ghana and things like, or they at least try to teach me. I'm getting better. So, but because I know that, you know, that I would be going back and forth to Ghana, it would be, beneficial for me to actually start either taking classes to learn Twi or one of the other languages and things that people commonly speak in Ghana. So that may be, something that's really important. So for me to actually feel like at least I'm making an effort, right? Um, to actually blend in, and that I'm generally interested in the culture and things like that. So just keep that in mind. But definitely memorize the names of important important objects and places first, and like the hotel, the bathroom, cafes, just every, things that you would commonly talk about or ask questions about. And like I said, when I come back tomorrow, then I will actually, talk about some of the common phrases that you should actually learn in whatever language for the country that you're going to. Um, Bringing around either Google Translate or Duolingo or Rosetta Stone, and using those to actually polish up your vocab in different languages would be very good. Definitely just learning like please, thank you, just basic courtesies, hello, goodbye, things like that are good things as well, or at least so you know exactly what somebody's saying when they're talking to you, right? So respect the local laws and customs. Again, you need to be very mindful of any laws and stuff. Just because you may be ignorant about whatever laws are there, it does not excuse you from not doing the right thing. So ignorance is not going to keep you out of jail. if it's something that you're supposed to do, or somebody, not saying something to you because you actually are, not following the customs or the law, right? So that's really important. I've already kind of given you some examples of that, like drinking in Dubai. Um, making sure that you are respect the etiquettes for holy and cultural sites. When you're going to like mosques in the UAE, or even in Thailand and things, when you're going into mosques, you make sure that you're covered. You make sure that your head is covered if you're a woman. You actually are not supposed to go into a mosque if you are on your menstrual cycle. Also, if you've recently had a child, you're not to go into a mosque. So it's those type of things that you really need to be mindful of and understand uh, when it's appropriate for you to do something and when it's not. Like, what are the customs there, so you are not offending someone because you don't know and things. So it's those type of things that you have to be mindful of. The way you dress, especially in very conservative countries and things, you have to be mindful of that. You shouldn't be wearing low cut shirts, or you shouldn't be wearing short shorts. You can wear capris, you can wear pants, or shorts that maybe come down to your kneecaps, but really showing a lot of skin, and things. Wearing sleeveless shirts and things like that, they may be something that is not uh, right for you to do, right? So so make sure that you're doing that. Taking your shoes off. And some residents may be a thing in certain countries. So, just be mindful of that and make sure that you are not going against the law. Like in Singapore, um, they may have a ban on chewing gum, like that happens in Singapore and stuff. So, and a law prohibiting motorists from stopping for pedestrians in Beijing. So these type of things, like you know, we stop all the time for people to allow them across and things, but we would never think of that like in the U.S. But that may be a thing there, right? Like when you go to Ghana and stuff, because they they're still working on things, but you could get stopped by the police. And this is not just Ghana, because I will say this happens in Thailand. It happens in other countries, right? Where in order for you to not get a ticket and stuff, you may have to pay, give the police some money and things. Not saying it's right, but I'm telling you that happens. Okay. Avoid offending the people around you. When you're carrying out your preliminary research, be sure to look at things of not to do. And when you're staying in the countries and things like that. So just make sure that you are following, you know what to do, but you know what not to do, right? Okay. So let's see. Just know, like, even gestures like a thumbs up or a peace sign or a-okay motion may have mean something negative depending on where you go. So even the hand gestures, the waving of the hand is actually something different. We're saying like bye, But it may mean something else. I can't remember what it means in Ghana. It means something else. Waving your hand means, for us, it means bye, or it may mean hello, right? Because you may be getting someone's attention, like, hi, how are you doing? And stuff, or, bye, see you later. But it has a different meaning there. So if you felt like you've offended someone, make sure that you apologize, and make sure that it's a sincere apology, and things. And then just remind them that you're not from there and you didn't know. So now you know, right? Um, I have really good friends in Ghana, so they tell me, certain things. So, and one of the great things about making friendships, especially in different countries, is that you get to learn about their daily lives and stuff, and, about their customs. And so, and it will more than likely spark different conversations and things. And so you learn about a lot about things that they do that we're not accustomed of, and they learn a lot about you too, and what your customs are. So definitely friending people, in different places will help you to learn the cultural differences, and what is appropriate and what's not appropriate beyond what you actually learn. Definitely be prepared to tip, and also learn the countries that it's not appropriate to tip. Most countries you do tip, about 50% or so, but there could be some countries that may consider a tip a offensive. So make sure that if it's appropriate to tip or not in different countries. I've already talked about watching what you wear and stuff. Make sure that in the United Arab Emirates, or that's where Dubai and things like that are, to Spain, that there's the longest nudity and decency, right? So you can wear like swimsuit and other revealing outfits for at the beach. But even then, you probably need to dress pretty modestly. You need to make sure that you're covered up, outside of like the pool area and the beach. You don't go through, the hotel, if that's where you're at as well, in just a bathing suit. And I wouldn't even do it with the cover up. I would be literally covered up. So you want to make sure that you know exactly how to dress. Make sure that you interact with the locals. If you want to discover what makes a place special, you have to get down to the local level. Um, a lot of people miss out when they are basically even on escorted tours, if they don't go out beyond that escorted tour and really take in the culture and the people. Um, that's one of the most important things about traveling, is really adapting to the area that you're in. And I don't think that you really get a good sense about a country until you're outside of hotel workers and things. And it's not because they live there, but they're also providing you a service. And so that is really important for you to get, a true understanding of what the country's about. Otherwise, you're just being a tourist at that point. Make new friends and have them show you around during your stay, if you're there long enough to actually create some type of friendship with people. Make sure you ask people, for help if you need to find a different a place or whatever. I usually always ask, like, when you travel in Ghana, you see a lot of security guards, police. and things like that. I usually ask security guards for directions and things like that if I'm looking for something. Women, to me, I feel comfortable, especially a woman with a child, or or something like that. So that's where I typically go towards women many times, or security guards, and ask them questions. Absorb everything you can. Um, you know, when we travel like that, that is the thing that teaches you the most. Um, to me, when I get lost, like on buses or things like that, it's probably the best thing, that unless like I'm just like miles and miles away from where I need to be and things like that, and I can't get back on track. But they're happy mistakes, right? You find out, many different things when you are actually just making it an adventure. Don't be afraid to actually explore, right? Um, go to different cultural events and experience them. Figure out if there's any events or festivals that's happening that you can actually witness yourself. So make sure that you're doing things and just finding your way around the city. So all of that stuff is important. um, Make sure that you get out of your comfort zone. That's one of the things that I find myself doing all the time. I may not be 100% sure about when I'm visiting places and things like that, but it doesn't stop me from actually figuring it out. There's all types of things that can help you. Your GPS, your Google Maps works in other countries. It works so you understand how to catch buses. It works on how, or, light rail systems, or even trains. It helps with all of those things, so you can actually get out and explore. And so use those things to your advantage. And even there's different tour operators that you can find that have apps that are interactive, that can help you to get around different cities. Especially the ones that have really great transportation, like in Europe and things like that. You can actually go on a whole tour and learn about different cultures by just going on some of the walking tours might cost you maybe $5, or something like that. Um, and then just stay positive. Traveling is just really one of those things that for me is a positive experience, even when something negative happens, right? And so, but on the brighter side, I'm learning. And learning doesn't come with some bumps and bruises, right? There's things that you can learn even by some of the bad experiences. And so you always want to stay positive. I think that there's definitely things that I don't like, in different countries, but there's many things that I love about certain countries, right? And that's just true to travel. And there's some countries that I say I love to visit, but I would never want to stay there. So I think that actually having a really positive position about yourself and a demeanor will make you more approachable to people. It will help as far as people wanting to help you and things like that. You know, it really just helps you all the way around. And so I wouldn't dwell on the things that you don't like and things. They are just differences. And trust me, a lot of people, especially when coming from America, they also feel the same way about you just because of the misinterpretations and stuff. And sometimes they take that to a different level because they think it's all Americans. Well, that's the same way. We have to stop, pigeonholing people into a certain box because they're from a different country or they have a different cultural belief or a different religious belief, right? Because it takes all of us to make this world go round. So everybody's going to be different. And so, you know, so just embrace it. Embrace different countries. Embrace, learning something different about different cultures. And I guarantee you will learn something about yourself in the end. Uh, that trip. So, which is why I always keep a travel journal. So, so tell me, if you're listening to this on the playback or if you're listening to it now, let me know what are some of the cultural differences that you were faced with when you traveled abroad, um, and things. And also, if you have any questions or any other comments, then you can definitely comment on the social media platform that you're watching me on tonight. Just so you know, tomorrow is the last day for you to get in on the hosted getaways for Urban Chic Travelistas, where we're going to Ghana, Greece, and Egypt. And you can put down a $50 deposit per person per trip, and your first payment will be due at the last day of January. So if you're interested in going to Ghana, Greece, or Egypt, then registration is open for those trips. And after tomorrow, then they will be going back up to their respective deposit amount. So this would be a good time if you're thinking about going with us. You can go to the website urbanchictravelistas.com, click on the trips page, and you'll see the hosted trip underneath there. Click on there, and then you can see all of the trips and the itineraries that we're going to be involved with. And so we hope that you will join us on one or more of our hosted trips. And if these dates don't work out for you, then I can curate a trip for you. And it doesn't have to be to the hosted places either. Um, so you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for listening to the little TED Talk, aka my lives and stuff. And you guys have a wonderful weekend. I will talk to you tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to come back and talk about the different phrases that you probably should learn or attempt to learn before you go to a different country. So we'll talk to you soon. You guys have a great day or evening.